Hello, my name is Erisya Kamilia Binti Suhaimi with metric number 243048 and 29 from T4C group, and my partner's name is Binti Azila. So today I will explain about 1GP2 experiment, which is projectile motion. First of all, the objective for this experiment is to determine the projectile range at different angles of projection, to determine the maximum height of the projectile at different projection angle, to estimate the gravitational acceleration of the Earth, and to study how the maximum range changes with the initial speed. For part A, the experimental setup was prepared as shown in the figure in the lab manual. The recorder strip was tapered to the bench to mark the impact points. A meter scale was clamped at the barrel base to measure the height of projection, and empty ball was placed behind the bench to catch the steel ball. Next, the steel ball was placed on the striker, and the firing spring was pulled to the first tension stage to produce the first initial speed. The distance between the striker and the center of the light barrier was measured and recorded. Then the ballistic unit was adjusted to an angle of projection of 25 degrees, and the steel ball was fired, and the range and height of projection were measured and recorded. And the experimental initial speed shown on the speed measuring attachment was also recorded in the data. The same procedure was repeated for projection angles of 35, 45, 55, and 65 degrees. After that, the experiment was repeated using the second and third tension stage to obtain the higher initial speeds. For part B, we still use the same setup in the part A, and the steel ball was placed on the striker, and the fire string was pulled to the first tension stage, and the distance between the striker and the center of the light barrier was measured and recorded. The angle of projection was set to 45 degrees, and then the steel ball was then fired, and its range was measured, and the initial fire spring was displayed on the speed measuring attachment was also recorded. Finally, the procedure was repeated using the second and third tension stage to study the effect of different initial speed on the maximum range. So let's go through for the question. I think the best angle to start the experiment with 45 degrees because this angle gives the maximum range in the projectile motion. And a way to accurately measure the height of projection of the steel ball in this experiment is to measure it by placing a meter ruler vertically and measuring from the floor to the center of the ball at the release point. So for the third equation is to find the time taken for the projectile to reach the maximum height. We record the motion using a slow motion video and measure the time until the ball reach its highest point. Next, from the theory, the material of the ball does not affect the range or height because the projectile motion only depends on the initial speed, angle, and gravity. However, in the actual experiment, we still see the differences because of air resistance and experimental error, which can affect the steel and wooden balls differently. That's all from me. Thank you.